All right, so we are having a really great call today with my dear friend, my buddy here, Mr. Curtis Thornsby over in Michigan. And Curtis, today we're going to go over talking about number one, the facility that you've got that's just north of Detroit. This is going to be an ongoing effort to start promoting some of the health and wellness centers that are out there with technology that's available. Because if anybody's in Michigan, even if you're in Chicago, Milwaukee, if you're in areas in the Midwest where you're within driving distance to Detroit area, this is a place, this is a guy that you want to come see. Curtis is very well versed on this technology. He's got some very cutting edge technology there. And Curtis, with that being said, why don't you go ahead, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your facility and how you got started, and then we can kind of start diving into some of the technology you've got there.
Sure. My name's Curtis Thorsby. My facility here is called Mano Biohealth. Mana is a Polynesian term for life force energy. So basically what we do here is we implement different types of energy therapies, even hyperbaric oxygen therapy, and we try to increase the life force energy in people who need it most and essentially allow their bodies to heal itself. So what we've done is we've, in our opinion, picked out some of the best technology that's available on the planet for people to help recover for things that maybe even they thought they never would be able to, right? So it's all about changing your atmosphere and giving your body the strength that it needs to heal itself. We've been getting a lot of really good results. And we're always looking for new things. So all the newest, best stuff that comes out, we do our best to get that here.
What's the name? It's a suburb outside of Detroit. What's the name of that city?
Yeah, we're in Ortonville, or it's also
Ortonville.
considered Brandon Township.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
we're about 40 minutes outside of Detroit, 20 minutes outside of Auburn Hills. So, we're really not that far away from the big city there. And we're about 5 minutes off the expressway. So it's a pretty good location here. We've been getting pretty steady traffic. I actually haven't had a grand opening yet. We are opening. We've had a soft opening, but to be honest with you, just word of mouth has been traveling well. And people are bringing their friends or their family members in here to come and check this out. This is a movement that really the state of Michigan hasn't seen yet. And so I'm here to try and be a pioneer in the state of Michigan and try and get the word out about the technology that's available.
Great. And you're absolutely doing that. And you do have some of the most powerful technology that's out there right now. So with that being said, we can talk about that in a minute, but tell us a little bit about how you got started, what got you interested in this, and kind of what led you up to wanting to open the place up.
Yeah, truthfully, I think this started quite a while ago. When I was at Central Michigan University, I ended up getting in a car accident. It was a 65-mile-an-hour rollover accident where I had, they said that I was lucky to be alive as well as my dad. And, when it was all said and done, we were grateful to walk away still alive. But I had really bad traumatic brain injury, and it left me without short-term memory. And so being about, 19 years old at the time, that wasn't really acceptable to me. And when I would go to the doctor to try and get my memory back or see if there was anything that could be done, they would just try to give me Paxil or Adderall and tell me that it would heal my brain. And then I did some research on it to show that, Adderall puts holes in your brain basically. So, and, it wasn't really, I knew that wasn't really an answer for me. I couldn't go my whole young adult life without being able to remember people's names. And, I was in the middle of school. So how do you take exams, right, if you can't remember anything? So what I had to do was do my own research online and find, the world's best herbs, amino acids, natural supplements. I would source them from around the world and put together my own products in my apartment. And I would take them to try and regenerate my brain. And then I just started working out like a madman because all the studies were showing that the more active you are physically, it actually helps repair your brain, and actually you're going to be better in your mental space as well. And so I
Mhm.
combined the two, and even had to do speech therapy for over a year, and wasn't really getting any results there, but I was starting to regain my memory after using these natural substances. And so with that being said, today my memory is much better than what it was before I even got in the car accident. And because I did that, I also was able to research and develop my own dietary supplements while I was still in school, which ended up being distributed internationally around the globe. So while I was still going to school for entrepreneurship and sports management, I actually had my own dietary supplement company that was being distributed in the state and a few of the other states. And then we got picked up in Australia, New Zealand, the Philippines. So I was essentially trying to run a business and go to school at the same time, you know. So it was kind of I actually think I was the first guy to ever have a product on the shelf and still be in school at the same time. So that was kind of interesting there. So really, what I found was that I was a hell of a good researcher, right? And so I started with that. And then once you're able to develop products and start your own business, you kind of go down the rabbit hole, right? And so, you know, as you go through life, you experience new things, and you're, exposed to different substances, and you're always going to need something to help you recover, right? At some point in time. And so all the new stuff that's been coming out as far as this energy therapy movement, was very intriguing to me. And, this stuff is right up my alley, and I've kind of been living this for a while now. So I was ready to open this up to Michigan and get it out to the public.
I remember when you were first getting interested in it. We sort of crossed paths. We talked very many times, and I was kind of with you. I was kind of getting into it and learning about it, and then we were kind of sharing notes, saying, "Hey, I kind of found this. I think you should check that out." One thing that you said when you first started off the conversation is you've got the hyperbaric, and the one thing I like about facilities like yours is that there's multiple layers of technology. And I think one of the big things that people miss is they come in for the technology, but then they really don't get an adequate diet. They don't get adequate supplements. They don't get a lot of other pieces to the puzzle that I think are very important to have. So one of the things I really like about what you're doing is you do have multiple technologies. You actually have some really cutting edge stuff in there. But you're also handling the other part of it with the supplements and with the nutritional part of it, which I feel is a very important component. And I think it's important that people understand that, technically these technologies are super powerful. And like you said, they can get the body to basically return back to homeostasis and get to really good health. But the goal is to maintain good health. And the goal ultimately is to incorporate as many different things into your daily routine as possible so that you're working at maximum potential and you're basically reducing the chance of having something go sideways in the future.
Right. No, you're absolutely
So,
correct. Go ahead.
so tell us a little bit more about the supplements and some of the products that you've got that are in that line of stuff.
Yeah, so the supplements range from, greens. So we usually like to start with a greens product with people, especially if they come in disease. They typically have a very low pH. I actually haven't had anyone come in with disease that has been in an alkaline state. So that's a really good way of, number one, getting a hold of heavy metals, getting them out of the body, and also shifting into an alkaline state. The herbs and the greens that are in there, they're all organic. It's typically things that people don't have in their diet on a daily basis. So we'll start there. We also have supplements that have thousands of healing frequencies embedded inside the molecules. There's also an electric charge. So as far as bioavailability goes, hands down the best out there in our opinion and from what we've seen. So there's so many to choose from, and these things are rare. They're, you don't typically find these in your standard dietary supplement shop. And so what we do here is we take pride on the things that we carry because they're either hard to get or, you can't get them anywhere else. And like I was saying before about the brain, I actually have access to a supplement that you can only buy online for whatever reason, they've granted me permission to carry it here. And I think what it was is they were able to hear my story about how I recovered from my brain injury. And it just so happened that all of the ingredients that I was using and having to purchase separately, they have them all in one product. And now I'm carrying it here. And so I'm a big advocate for it. And so are the other people that are using it.
We're definitely going to start promoting that, and when we get off the call, I want to start, working with you on that to start offering those products. But the other
Yep.
thing, Curtis, I really like is the fact we call it pain to purpose, and pain to purpose basically means there's been some adverse event that's happened in your life that you basically had to really figure out how to overcome. And, in so doing, helping yourself, it put you in a position now where you're able to help literally thousands, if not millions of other people. And a lot of times that's the situation you really need to be in to really dig deep and actually use yourself as your own, as your own test study, to say, hey, this is working, this isn't. A lot of times it's just based on a lot of trial and error to kind of figure out what is the right formula, what is the stuff that I'm really seeing results from, and what is it that maybe just isn't quite working, but maybe it would if I combined it with something else, or kind of go through that whole process. How long did it take you to kind of develop that and kind of get yourself on track where you really started seeing those kind of results?
Truthfully, a lot of this stuff, it just within a day or two, you just start to notice like, hey, I'm more sharp. My focus is better. My mental clarity is on point. And you start to learn that, the more consistent you are taking this stuff, the better that it's able to work for you. There's ingredients out there that actually don't even take effect until after 2 months. And so it's like, all the other ingredients work faster, but as the other ingredients build up in your system, now they start to, come to fruition, and it just keeps getting better and better and better as time goes on. And the great thing about it is the side effects just aren't there.
Right. And, that's the beauty about, what you just said is what I really enjoy is the consistency of long-term use. Certainly you do see some results that come a little bit sooner rather than later, but it really comes down to consistent long-term use where you really start reaping the full benefits of everything. And I think that's really true, not just with the supplements and not just with these products, but also with the technologies that we're working with, because you're working with a lot of the same stuff that I am familiar with, that I work with. And in this type of society that we're in now, everybody wants results today and tomorrow. And there's certainly times where you do see benefits right away, but it's the long-term benefits that you really get over prolonged time that really have the most meaning. And I know you're a big Rife and Tesla. I know you're big in all those. We're going to get in and look at some of your stuff. But, I always tell people that Tesla, Lakovsky, and Rife, they never ran protocols for less than 90 days. So anything they did was basically always going to be at least on a minimum of a 90-day cycle. And people need to be in that mindset where it's more of a marathon and not a sprint. And that's not saying that you're not going to see results faster. You will, majority of the time. Maybe never at all, but most of the time you will. But you really should be in it for the long haul and really have your mindset prepared that you're going to do this for an extended period of time, if not for the rest of your life, really, because these are all things that are going to give long-term benefits and give you a better quality of life overall. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I'm on board with that. Consistency is key, in almost any aspect of your life, right? And so again, a lot of times it's not instant gratification here because these are all forms of therapy. But if you're consistent with it on a regular basis, the odds are is that you will start to see really good results. And there's people that are coming in here with things that are completely undiagnosed. They're worried about losing limbs because there's no circulation to them anymore. Skin conditions that they can't figure out, what's going on, or flesh eating disease, things like that. And they're concerned about, what can we do? And all of a sudden, those people stay consistent with some energy therapy and they're documenting their progress. And from what they're showing me and what they're telling me, it's just incredible.
It is. And, that's the thing about a place like that is you really do see a lot of amazing firsthand before and afters, I guess is probably the best way of putting it. I know before we jumped on the call, we were talking, and I don't want to get too deep into this, and I don't really want to get too deep into this subject specifically, but I think the majority of people probably understand what we're talking about. But you did have one case with a person that came to you with probably one of the most prominent things that freaks people out nowadays as far as a disease goes or the condition. And there was a lot of battles going on within the family. Should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I do the traditional thing that they want me to do, which is basically, I've said it on many calls. I'm 57, brother. It's the same thing that they've been doing since I was a kid. It hasn't changed. They're still running the same protocols on these people. And I don't really see it working all that much. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't, or if it does or doesn't, but it's brutal on the body. It puts the body just through a lot of it's just hard on the body, I guess, probably the best way to say it. And you actually saw that there was things that were happening that were beneficial, but when you get to a lack of consistency, or you get people saying, well, I think you should stick, and that's not even saying you can't do both, but when you start doing stuff with some of this other technology that they're pushing or they're promoting, I guess, through the traditional channels, it really breaks down the body, and it makes it really hard for the body to really do its job and get back to what we call homeostasis. And I'll tell you, man, it's like you're really on the front lines when you're dealing with that stuff and you're seeing it full time. And unfortunately, that story had a sad ending because that person chose to go and follow another set of instructions through somebody else, or through more of a traditional means, and it did not work out well for that person. But up until then, there was still a lot of positive things that were happening. But then the family got involved. The family started fighting, and should I do this? And I mean, it's like, I do so many of these calls, and I'm telling you, it's just we're just living in such an incredibly crazy time right now, where 100-year-old technology that was established and proven 100 years ago, that was doing a great job, is considered, I guess, off the beaten path, or I don't know how you even put it, but this, it's coming back to light. The technology is coming back to light, and I think intuitively it's up to every individual person to kind of figure out what's best for them. This is certainly not a call to try to sway people or give any type of medical advice. We're not doing that. But I think the main thing is just saying that there's a lot of technologies out there that have shown and proven over time that they can have a lot of potential benefits. And like you said, you're really breaking ground up there in your area, because you're the first guy I know that's up anywhere close to that area that has this technology. For anybody that's out there that's looking for alternative ways and alternative technologies to try to assist with various types of health and wellness related issues. And the thing that's amazing, and because you've got this technology in that book that you've got for the plasma technology, 3,500 frequency codes, so there's literally thousands of different frequency codes. So you can address things with mold, bacteria, all different types of health and wellness issues. You're just talking about skin, all the different things that you can basically run frequency codes after. And this goes back to Rife technology, which is over 100 years old, where these guys were basically knocking out of the park and had figured a lot of that stuff out 100 years ago. We've got more advanced, maybe, they've been able to build on that technology and improve it with the digital age. But you're really sitting there with with some very powerful technology that has a very good history to it.
Yeah. And as far as like the skin conditions go, that's the other thing, is that you can come in and get your frequencies for that, but we also have topicals for it. So now you're attacking it in two different ways at that point. We have technology that you can purchase and use in your own home on a daily basis, at your convenience. You can get in the hyperbaric chamber for that. We also have a hyperthermic infrared sauna pod. That thing's great. People love it. It has great results for pain relief. Even, those that suffer from, more of the metaphysical things, the anxiety, the insomnia, just overall stress, the PTSD, you're helping flush heavy metals out of the body and the toxins. they say you can burn up to 600 calories in a half hour just being in there, and it's really, really beneficial for the people that have bad knees, bad hip, bad back. They're not really capable of going out there and jogging or running, going to the gym, but they need to be able to sweat, right? And that's a really good way of doing it, but you're also doing it in a really relaxing way. It kind of calms the body, calms the mind. And it's awesome seeing people, when they're limping in here, they're hunched over, by the time they leave, they walk out like, they're almost brand new at that point.
They are. And the beauty of it is I've interviewed so many of those people and talked to a lot of those people. And the thing that's really amazing is how it changes their quality of life. When I start talking to a lot of these people, they really express about how just getting up out of bed was like a chore. Like it was like, oh man, another day and I got to dredge through it. And I don't get to do all the fun things I used to do, and doing all the normal things that I used to do is now a burden to me. It's not even fun. And we were talking about it earlier with this one particular individual, where all of a sudden somebody that had very low energy and didn't want to do anything was out, raking the backyard, and all of a sudden had energy, wanted to go clean the house, and everybody's looking around like, what just happened to this person? And all of a sudden, the pain or the stiffness and the soreness, all these things are starting to dissipate. They're getting this energy, and it's really changing their quality of life. And I think, ultimately, the technology is great because if stuff has really gone sideways, there are many things that can address that. But for the stiffness, the soreness, a lot of those basic things that are kind of slowing people down, they're not going out, maybe living as active a lifestyle as they used to. It's those really small things also that have a big impact. And, Curtis, the other thing that I always bring up, and I think it's important to touch on, is that it's not just about coming to see you when things go sideways. It's also about maintaining good health and getting those supplements in your body now and coming in, because you've got with that plasma technology, there's a lot of frequencies in there for the DNA repair, detoxification. You were just touching upon, burning calories, different things you can do. But, these are technologies that you can embrace and start using now in an effort to do things before, you start having health issues. So, I think it's important to bring that up. You also touched on metaphysical, and a third of the frequencies are metaphysical. So you have stuff like chakra, energy balance, your aura, your plasma energy body, using plasma energy to expand your aura, give you more energy, through your biofields. So there's a lot of that that's also involved. So we're here now in your facility. Why don't you do you want to give us a tour and start showing us around a little bit?
Sure, I can do that for you. So there's the setup there with the Tesla plasma machine. I have the anti-aging grounding material, the bed cover, the pillowcases. Those are a huge hit. I've got the dietary supplements and some of the data that we have up here to kind of show the inflammation that leaves the body.
Wow.
That's after 4 nights. But people typically experience pain relief after just one night. And then after 45 minutes of being grounded with this material, you can see the difference in blood platelets. That's 3 different people with coagulated blood platelets. And within 45 minutes of being grounded, now their blood platelets are flowing free. Your body's circulating a lot more oxygen throughout its system. And, that's beneficial for everybody, and at that point, without implementing any type of NSAIDs or medication or steroids for pain relief, and you're able to do that to the human body, knowing that over 9 out of 10 diseases are caused by inflammation, and you're just wiping that out night after night, you're doing yourself a huge favor, right? And that's anti-aging.
Yeah, that's the anti-aging bed cover that you've got that's on there. And
yes.
When we met down in Orlando, I know we saw a lot of people down there that were using that technology. And as we were saying earlier, they were basically blending that with the plasma and with all these other technologies with hyperbaric, and literally people that could hardly sit up out of a chair 4 hours later are bouncing up. And I've got a lot of those testimonials from when I saw you last down in Florida. People coming in, everyday people, which is like I was saying earlier, simple things like really stiff knees, bad hips. But that picture shows everything. That colored photo right there, where you show the inflammation, those photos, people say they want the science. There's a boatload of science on it, but nothing is easier to see than how much inflammation is being pulled out of the body.
Absolutely. And it really is a game changer for people because, there's a lot of veterans too. They're just ridden with inflammation buildup. They've been through a lot, just carrying around, 200-pound packs on their back all the time. That takes a toll on people's back and, a lot of the things that they've been exposed to. So being able to sleep on this material does a huge service for them.
And that plasma machine that you've got, one of the things that I know you're using it for, but one of the things that thing is really good for is PTSD. So
Yeah.
we've worked with a lot of veterans with that plasma. That is a super powerful piece of equipment right there that you've got. And I know that when we're talking about our veterans and military and first responders, if anything's PTSD related, that technology that you've got there, getting on that anti-aging bed cover, and there's specific frequencies that plasma machine runs specifically for PTSD.
Right. I've had quite a few veterans come through here. There's one in particular. She's actually done a couple tours, and this pretty awesome story. She started using the Terahertz Wand, and she's got a bad back, and she actually started using it before she went to bed as well because it works with your circadian rhythm. And so she's got a bed that keeps a score of her sleep. And so she's saying it's pretty accurate. And the highest that she would ever be able to get is like 64, 65. After using the Terahertz Wand, it shot her sleep score up to about 80, 85.
Wow.
So that was a total game changer for her. And then after that, she ended up getting just the feeling of being grounded was helping her. So she ended up getting a pillowcase. Once she got the pillowcase, she was consistently getting 95 to 96 on her sleep score from her bed. And those were the only things that she did different. There's no other way of explaining why all of a sudden her sleep score would go up so high.
Right. And we talked the other day, and you actually told me as well, a lot of people that had bought that anti-aging pillowcase that started sleeping on it started having super vivid dreams. And I've heard that before, but I know you had talked to a lot of people that you started getting that technology out to and started getting really good feedback on that as well.
Yeah, there was a nurse that actually got this pillowcase. And so what she did was she was kind of skeptical. So what she did was she slept on it one night and woke up the next morning. She said she had 4 extremely vivid dreams. She was able to remember every single thing that happened. She typically would dream only in black and white, but now it was in full color. And her Fitbit showed 4 spikes in REM, which would correlate with the dreams that she had, right? But the overall REM increased 65%, which is just unbelievable, considering a lot of people don't even achieve REM to begin with, but then you're boosting it 65%. So again, she kept track of it the following night, and basically the same thing happened. She had 4 separate dreams, and her REM was jumped by 64, 65% the next day. She's been keeping track of this information. It can't be construed. The only thing that she did different was use this grounding pillowcase. And people will wake up. They say when they wake up, they don't have that brain fog in the morning. Mm-hmm. So as soon as they wake up, their mental clarity is really good. And just overall, emotionally, they just feel so much better than what they would had they not been grounded the entire night.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been a big fan of the anti-aging bed cover. And the funny thing is that before I got the cover, I actually had the pillowcase material, and that also initially really helped. Obviously, the more square footage in that, the better. But that was a great tool for me. Before we get to the brain detox, I just want to go back real quick. You don't have to go back over there, but I wanted to talk about the blood platelets. And there's certain things that we'll talk about on the show or whatever. There's certain things we're going to avoid. But for anybody that's out there in the last couple of years, probably know all what we're talking about. There was, there was some anecdotes or some things given out to the general public that were suggested to help them in many ways. Perhaps they did, perhaps they didn't. But one of the things that it definitely showed symptoms of, anybody that had that done had that coagulated blood. And that is a very common situation for anybody that went through that and got that done to them. And so for anybody that's out there, I've said on other videos, even though it might not have been myself, maybe it wasn't you, we all have friends and family that we know that probably either had somebody we know that had that done, or somebody that knows somebody. And when you're getting into that plasma technology, the anti-aging bed technology, you can clearly see how that's basically separating those blood platelets. It's restoring the cellular structure back to your blood cell wall. You're talking about oxygenation. But the other thing is that it's really taken a lot of pressure off your blood, off your heart, to have to pump all that coagulated blood constantly. And so anybody that had that done, this is a technology that you've got that'll assist with getting that blood restored back. Now, I've talked to some people that are much smarter than me, the majority of people out there, but they have said that even though that does help, that would probably be something you'd have to keep doing on a recurring basis. So let's say you went in now and you have all this coagulated blood, and it does get sort of restructured back, and it goes back to its regular cellular structure, and you get all the clumping gone. More than likely, you're probably going to have to go back on a regular tune-up, almost like you would if you had to change the oil in your car. But still, for people that are out there that might say, oh, no, you know what, maybe I should take a look at that, or you know what, my mom probably should take a look at that, or whatever, because my mom, I love my mom, and I'm not going to get too far into that, but she's an RN, and she's been in nursing her entire life, and there's no arguing with my mother, God bless her. But even still, it's like, okay, mom, do me a favor, let me just get you in here for a half hour. You're going to love this. Get her in there, get her in front of that technology, knowing that there's a very good chance that that's probably what's happening within her system right now. So I just wanted to point that out and just touch on that real briefly, not too deep, but just enough to give people a general idea what we're talking about. But I love the fact that you've got all this documentation. That's really well done, and it really gives people a good visual. You don't even really have to explain it. You can just look at pictures and get a pretty clear understanding of what those benefits are.
Right. Yeah. And the same goes for, even the Terawan, because after you use that, it doesn't take very long for your blood platelets to start flowing freely. I've watched people with broken bones. They kind of felt like they were on the clock because they were told, if your bones don't heal right in the next couple of weeks, you might have to put a couple screws in it. And, people aren't wanting to do that anymore. They're wanting to try other things. And long story short, that person seems to think that because they had some osteoporosis issue going on, they didn't think they were going to be able to heal fast enough. And from what they're telling me, they were able to avoid surgery altogether by being consistent and using that Terawan on their foot on a regular basis.
Right. It's interesting. The Terahertz Wands, that technology is not real old. I want to say maybe 20 years, 25 years, which in the industry in itself is not, it's not like 50 or 100. But one of the very few things that there are some good clinical data studies on are the effects of that technology on bones. And that was one of the few benefits and one of the few things that got into actually getting scientific approval and backing, was the fact that terahertz frequency was showing to be very effective for healing and mending bones. And so it's actually good that you brought that up, and especially with the osteoporosis and other different things. But for broken bones and mending bones, that's certainly been shown, from a scientific study or studies, to show that that's definitely one of the benefits that technology offers.
Yeah. This is what we have here to help explain, kind of what it's good for. It's really hard to, with what it's capable of, to get it all on one poster, but that kind of sums up how beneficial it is for aches and pains, and some other issues that people might have. But again, it's like, if you have a problem internally or externally on your skin, you know, because it's so good for skin conditions as well. It's like the most universal technology that we have, and it's just so convenient for people to use in their own home.
Yeah. I love the fact that not only do you have it there at the facility, but people coming in that are using the technology have things that they can grab and purchase and take home with them. And the one thing I love about the Terahertz Wands are the fact that they're so affordable. I mean, for what those things can do with scalar energy and far infrared, and for the price of what they go for, it's definitely one of the greatest values you can get for the money right now for home use technology.
Yeah, I agree. On this wall here, I thought it would be really nice to be able to kind of show the history of how all of the, you know, what they called then electromedicine took place, or, you know, the people that really understood, you know, quantum
Yeah.
energy.
Hey, can you go back to Royal Rife real quick?
Yeah.
Man, I love that. I love that. So, Curtis, if there's one thing that makes me happy, that it really makes me happy, is seeing this guy, Royal Raymond Rife, getting this kind of attention, publicity, and basically this guy figured all this stuff out 100 years ago. He was so far ahead of his time. That microscope that he made, even in today's world, would rival what's available right now with modern technology. This guy basically gave his life for the technology that we've got today. And this guy took an incredible beating. He basically was given, I think it was 16. Are you familiar with the number? I think it was 16 patients.
Yeah, I think
And
it
with
was
that
17.
microscope, 17, he could look under a microscope and see every single cell in the body. And he basically got these 17 patients, and he went in and did blood tests and figure out what it was in their blood that was basically making them go sideways, which goes back to the subject that I was talking about earlier, because it was pretty much the same thing then as it is now. And he basically flipped every single one of those people around. He flipped every one of them around. And at the time that they were going to release this data, the doctor who was in charge of the study basically was supposedly poisoned and killed. I don't know if they ever really did, but I know he was from San Diego, where I spent the majority of my life. And the old San Diego newspapers had in big, bold headlines that this guy did it. He cured this, he cured, basically this horrible disease. And soon thereafter, they wanted his technology. He would not give it to them, probably knew that perhaps there might be, another agenda that they perhaps possibly could have used it for, but he wouldn't give it up. And they ran this guy into the ground. I mean, they ran disinformation campaigns. They burnt his labs. They basically ran this guy into the ground. And honestly, very few people, if you're in the energy and frequency technology world, Raymond Royal Rife. This guy he is the grandfather of what all of us are doing right now. But for anybody out there that hasn't heard this guy, he is a legend. And the fact that you're giving him the publicity and giving him that photo right there and acknowledging him, honestly, I love that, man. I love that. It might be late, we might be 100 years late to the party, but just giving these guys the credit that they deserve, because I don't know how many people really know these stories of some of these people. And this guy gave everything. He gave everything for us, and we're reaping the benefits of it now. But for you to give tribute to that guy and have that picture on the wall, I'm telling you, brother, that just absolutely, I love it, man. That is a beautiful piece of art. I love the purple. I love the picture with him in that microscope, because even to this day, they would have a hard time replicating that. He was, in fact, I can't remember the name of the microscope, but he was looking at live living cells. And obviously, guess what? All this technology's gone. All of his microscopes, everything's gone. Of course it is. But this guy was so far ahead of his time. He was a pioneer. And anybody out there that's seeing this right now, you should say a prayer and give some thanks to people like this guy, because he was a legend. And he basically, when you see that plasma technology that Curtis was showing us earlier, they're running his frequencies. It's his work. that they're running. And he had that technology back then. He was doing it a little bit differently, but this guy was an absolute legend. So Curtis, it's like, thank you so much for having that there. And thank you for
Yeah.
giving tribute to these people.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he deserves it. He deserved it then, and it didn't feel right, opening this place and not giving him credit now. So I think it's important for people to know who really started this. And if it wasn't for him, I don't think we'd be here talking about all this stuff right now, to be honest with you.
No.
So,
and that's not taking anything away from Tesla. That's not taking anything away from Likovsky. That's not taking away anything from other great people like Mr. Tesla, a phenomenal man. And I think that all of us kind of know that this guy was just so far ahead of his time. He kind of also got put into a box, so to speak. He didn't necessarily maybe take it as hard as some of the other people around him did, but these are all people that he worked with, and he could see what was going on and what was happening to them. So, even Mr. Tesla was still doing his best to push as much technology as he could, but he knew that, there was a limit to what he could probably do without really getting himself into a bind and having himself end with a short career.
Yeah, no, there's very few people that quite understand quantum physics, and he's probably one of the most advanced human beings that have ever walked this planet. And so most of the inventions that he had, he didn't even take credit for.
We're just talking about the Terahertz Wand, quantum scalar energy. Yeah,
and it's people like this that even back in the late 20s or early 30s, this is the guy that really started using that type of energy, and pretty much understanding it to where other people, had no idea it even existed, right? So it's he's crazy important as far as just how the world modernized. We're still using a lot of his inventions today, and a lot of them he never took credit for or got credit for them. But that wasn't important to him because it wasn't about the money for him. It was just about humanity.
Yeah, it was about raising the frequency. And, the interesting thing about him also, it's interesting because we got Rife over there. Now we got Tesla. But Tesla was the master. He was one of the first people that really pushed and worked with plasma energy. So you've got that plasma, that Tesla plasma chamber, that plasma machine. He was working with plasma. Rife was working with frequencies. Plasma energy is mindful, intelligent energy, and Tesla knew that. And nothing made that guy happier than being around like a lightning and thunderstorm, because he literally thought that it was talking, and it was. I mean, it's living, intelligent energy. And this guy knew it 120 years ago in the late, 1800s. And we've all seen the pictures where he's got his hands up on both sides and he's connecting through, almost like an electrical field, and almost seeing like the sparks coming and running that through. And I mean, there's just so much. It just makes me so happy that you're giving tribute to these amazing people. And this technology is 100 years old. Many times we see that plasma machine you've got in there, and it's an amazing technology. But when people understand that these guys were working with it over 100 years ago and knocking it out of the park, I just am so happy you're giving tribute to all these really amazing pioneers and amazing people. It's beautiful artwork. It's beautiful artwork that you've gotten there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Like I said, we have guys like Dr. Otto Warburg. He won the Nobel Prize for figuring out that diseases can't exist in an alkaline environment. And so, that's really important for when people walk in. We can take their pH, or they can take it in their own home and kind of figure out where they're at, and we can make adjustments from there. And so what his findings are still true today from what we've seen. So that's really beneficial. And actually Rife was able to back that information up too. He found out the same thing as far as diseases through pleomorphism forming into other harmful pathogens in the body, right, when it's acidic. So you want to get alkaline, boost your oxygen levels, and you can do that with the hyperbaric chamber. And we'll get into that here shortly.
One thing I was going to say also about Warburg is he also interfaced a lot with Georges Likovsky, and Likovsky and Tesla worked a lot on multi-wave oscillators. I mean, all these guys were all kind of interwoven, but he basically also understood that your electrical frequency and current I mean, he understood that all the benefits of the multi-wave oscillators and how restoring cell to their original oscillation rate or their normal oscillation rate, and the lack of the cell oscillating was what was going to lead people to getting sick. It was the reduction of the oscillation rate of the cell, and on Lakhovsky's technology, a lot of it is being backed up by Warburg. So
Yep.
I mean, these guys, this is like a trip down memory lane right here. I love it.
Yeah, it's definitely important for people to know where this stemmed from, because this a lot of people will sometimes be a little skeptical, but it's like, hey, we have some of the smartest people that ever walked this earth that are validating, and it literally found scientifically that this is the real deal.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the greatest quotes of all time, with Mr. Einstein saying the future medicine will be the medicine of frequencies. I mean, yeah, it's just really hard to talk about this stuff and even get into it without really giving credit to these people, because they did so much for us. And they really, a lot of these people, Mr. Lakhovsky was accidentally killed, quote unquote, hit by a car after he went in and turned around a bunch of people in a New York hospital. And then all of a sudden the same thing happened where all that technology disappeared. So,
Yeah.
but they were out to help humanity. They were out to help mankind. And, the bottom line is that as a spiritual person, as a spiritual entity, you know, it's never too late to give them credit for what they've done. It's never too late to give them credit for all these things, and really give them the praise that they deserve. Somewhere out in the world of spiritual living, I know that they're still out there probably looking down on people like us, saying, well, thank gosh we finally got this stuff out. It might have taken 100 years, and it's not necessarily us, it's a lot of other people, and people that obviously created the technology, but we're trying to do our best to just, if nothing else, educate people. You're obviously taking it a step further, trying to make a lot of this technology available to the general public. But that's really a beautiful memorial of forefathers that have really helped all this technology get out.
Yeah, we refer to it as the Wall of Legends. So they're legends of humanity as far as we're concerned.
They are. That's
This
awesome.
is
What do you got over there on the PTSD?
this is the hyperbaric room. So this is
Oh, good.
the
Okay.
hyperbaric chamber. It's a 36-inch chamber, so it's actually huge. I mean, when I'm laying down in there and I put my arm up, I can barely even touch the top. So it's super roomy in there. Lot of room in there. It's air conditioned. It's got a negative ionizer in there, so it's not just
Oh, wow.
taking oxygen from 21% to almost 100. It's infusing it with negative ions, so then you get the upper respiratory effect. Really, really good therapeutic effects from breathing in negative ions. And it's pretty awesome chamber. And honestly, there's not a whole lot of symptoms out there that people have where they wouldn't benefit from being in the chamber. We have the PTSD here. It kind of shows, we support veterans. Like I said before, I have a lot of veterans that come in with issues. They've been through a lot of traumatic stress. And hyperbaric really is been proven to be one of the most effective ways, if not the most effective, at combating PTSD.
Curtis, I talk to a lot of health and wellness centers. I guess I'd say consulting. I don't really consider myself much of a consultant, but I do. But I will always tell people, always, for every health and wellness center, that if there's one technology that you can add that I feel is going to give you the greatest benefit, that's going to sync with all the other technologies or any additional technologies you've got, it's hyperbaric.
Yeah.
And just to touch on real quick, those people that make that plasma machine, they do an amazing job. That plasma machine, which I've got my hands on and used on a very long period of time, just as long as we're giving people credit, that technology and that particular machine is phenomenal. The results that thing has gotten, and that thing's been made for well over 20 years. That's not a brand new piece of technology, although, like with anything, they've pushed it and advanced it, and I'm sure made it better. But the people putting that thing together, they're a special group of people. And the interesting thing is in their manual, because when you first buy that, when you get that technology, you've got that manual, which is about 350, 400 pages. And when you get to the introduction at the very beginning, the very first thing that they recommend, in addition to hydration, is oxygen therapy or hyperbaric. And so when you're integrating that hyperbaric technology with that plasma technology, that is super powerful. I mean, like you have got some really good stuff in there. And, we talked about it earlier, but the ultimate goal for everybody is to layer the technology, right? So first off, the main thing, like we talked about, and I'm really glad actually that you've got that information on there about alkaline with Dr. Warburg. Because
Yeah.
being in an alkaline state, you can go to CVS or Walgreens and you can do a pH test on your saliva, and there's no reason to go into these places to get these types of technologies if you're going to shove cookies and drink coffee down your mouth the minute you leave, because technically you're basically farming all those bad cells to grow back. So if you're really into it for the long haul, you got to eat a lot of greens. You got to get the pH to alkaline. You got to do all these different things, and they all layer together. So the technology with the diet, right, and getting that straight, and then you've got the plasma technology. You've got the anti-aging technology with the bed covers. You've got the Terahertz Wand technology. You've got the hyperbaric technology. That is a whole lot of layers. You don't really want to get yourself in a position where you're all in saying, well, if I sit in front of that plasma machine, I'm good. It's like, I mean, like, don't think like that. That's the disease. The disease, first off, is your mind thinking that you're too smart for yourself. But ultimately, Curtis, the thing I love about what you're doing there, brother, is you've got all the best stuff in there, and you've got really good fundamental and ways of understanding it. So you don't have to give people real high, you know, technological breakdowns on it. You can see real clearly on that picture how the inflammation is reduced by touching, the bed cover. You can see, the benefits real clearly on all these technologies just based on a lot of the visual images that you've got. But that's what makes that place that you've got there so special, is you've got such a wide range of stuff, and you have a knowledge base, understanding what it is, how it works, where it came from. I mean, the knowledge base that goes with that, and you've got it all there. So, I mean, anybody that's in the Detroit area, Michigan, and like I said earlier, how far is Chicago from you? 4 or 5 hours?
Chicago. Yeah, I'd say it's about 5 hours from here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not bad. It's
Mm-hmm.
definitely, it's doable. I do get people that come here out of state already. And if you're wondering if hyperbaric is meant for you, I have a list of conditions here.
Oh my God.
I tried to explain that hyperbaric is so beneficial for so many people. And I don't know if you can actually read that from here, but that's the list of conditions that has been proven to be effective for hyperbaric therapy.
Right.
And it's just endless. It's hard to not find
It
somebody
is.
that wouldn't benefit.
Yeah. And that technology's been out forever. So there's a lot of scientific studies, a lot of documentation on that. Did you say you had some infrared technology or some?
Yeah, I'm actually heading in here right now. This here is the infrared sauna pod room. And so,
Wow.
like you said, it's not just about, one type of technology and hoping that it's going to do everything for you. What this here is actually used in a lot of alternative oncology clinics. NFL athletes are using them. SEC teams have picked this up. Athletes all over the world are using this because it's so good. It's so effective at getting rid of inflammation. The number one thing it's known for is getting rid of inflammation. It's also really good at detox. And so while you're in here, it uses the power of infrared, and that infrared will penetrate deep within the body. So all this chronic inflammation that people have built up, whether they have arthritis, bad knees, bad back, bad hip, you name it, they just walk out of here and the pain is like, night and day difference. And they're only in here for a half hour. The other benefit is that they'll put a sauna suit on. I'll open this up here for you to see too. So the nice thing about it is that you would lay in here for a half hour, it'll get to be about 192 degrees on the inside. The infrared will come from here and just pour down on top of you, so it just wipes out your inflammation. The nice part is that your head's not in, so you get the fans here that blow the cool air, and that air actually has negative ions from this pink Himalayan salt block down here. And so you're getting a upper respiratory benefits from breathing in those negative ions. You're sweating like crazy. So, what people are finding is that a lot of the root cause of these diseases is, inflammation, number one, but then you also have heavy metals. You have this toxin buildup in your system, clogs the lymphatic system, slows you down. It causes problems for the immune system. And this will definitely help push those out. And so when people get out of here, not only are they relaxed, but they feel so much better because you've just done yourself a huge favor by getting rid of those toxins, helping your lymphatic system again to flow better. And, nobody loves to have inflammation. So when you're out of here and that's gone, you're feeling pretty good.
It's a happy day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Curtis, can you get a shot with you and the thing right behind you, like there, if you could figure out a way to get you and the machine in there, because I want to get a screenshot. Perfect.
Yeah,
One more.
Probably going to be.
Perfect. The other thing about that is that I was at the A4M show. It's a big technology show in Las Vegas. And there is a ton of published scientific data on infrared. Infrared is taking off, it's exploding. And the reason it's exploding now is because there's so much science to back it up. The other thing I want to say is that, man, you have made that place so cool looking. Like, I love like the dots and everything, and the massage chairs. That room that you were just in, that is super cool. And I'll be honest with you, I've done a lot of stuff with a lot of wellness centers, and I like it when they have a little bit of ambiance to them, when there's a lot of like lava lamp lights like that. It's fine for Red Room, but I don't like it when it looks real sterile. You know what I mean? Like, that is a room where if you wanted to sit and meditate in a massage chair, you've just done a phenomenal job with this place, man. I mean, it's just absolutely all the best technology, and the way you've set it up, the way it's put together is just, this is a model for anybody out there that wants to open a wellness center. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I'll be honest. This is a real popular area back here for a couple of reasons. First of all, everyone loves a massage, right? The other thing is that when people come here to receive frequencies, it's such a good place to start, because, oftentimes when people are stressed, they have anxiety, they have a condition that, they're really concerned about. Within 10 or 15 minutes of being in these chairs, you can just see the stress just, work its way out. They're in a much better spot. They typically like it dark back here, so I turn the lights off. I'll have the projector on so they can kind of look at the galaxy back here instead of just looking at a plain ceiling, and it is relaxing. People love that. We've got the pink Himalayan.
My favorite. I love those.
Yeah, they're just soothing. They're able to pick up frequencies, and then of course, we implement the anti-aging grounding technology on the back of the chairs so that you are grounded while you receive your frequencies, and you receive all the benefits of being grounded at the same time.
Yeah, and those anti-aging, those BioShield stations are great. Like you said, you're always grounded. And I always tell people that have these health and wellness centers, you touched on it absolutely brilliantly. But when people are coming in, a lot of times they're under a lot of stress, they're a lot of anxiety. They're all, they're terrified basically, because they've probably been told something that, is not what they wanted to hear, which can cause a lot of stress. But you get a much better outcome using all that technology if you can kind of get that stress and tension out of them, get that blood circulation moving. And then when you put them into you, and in many cases, and I know that plasma technology right now that you've got behind you, that's on a cart. That's the way to use it down, because then you can move it into the room and they can be in there getting the massage while they're getting the plasma. And you get a better effect when you're getting that tension out and letting people relax a little bit. They're just not so tense. So This is absolutely a model. This is Curtis. Thank you so much for your time, first off, because I do appreciate it. But this is a model for anybody that's out there that's looking to set up a health and wellness center. You've done a phenomenal job. I mean, not just with getting the technologies and how they're placed, but the ambiance, the wall of fame, the photo documentation, the nutrition. Like you just I mean, Curtis, you've done a phenomenal job. This is definitely, if not the best, one of the best places I've ever had the enjoyment of being able to check out and see. I'm hoping that there'll be a time sometime in the future where I can come out there. But you know what the best part is that we'll probably have to save it to the next video because I think we've been on now for over an hour. There's even more. Like if you think this is good, there's some stuff that Curtis has that we haven't even gotten into that's very cutting edge. That's going to get into ways that you can do diagnostics for people to give them a real clear understanding of what they need to look at. We'll probably have to save that for another video. And then I know, we've talked about doing upcoming videos in the future where we get to talk to some of the people that have come through and just, get a little bit of a before and after and kind of get and share, some firsthand testimonials of people that are getting access to the technology. But for anybody that's out there, manobiohealth.com. Do you want to
follow us on Facebook, like our page. We just got the Instagram up and running. So yeah, manobiohealth.com, and we're in Ortonville, Michigan. And, we're one of a kind up here. So, we're open and you can call and make an appointment ahead of time. That always works best, but, we accept walk-ins too.
Yeah. And, the other thing I'm going to say, Curtis, and I don't want to ever come off being disrespectful, but for anybody that's out there waiting for an Asara Jasara, anybody that's sitting on the sidelines thinking that you're waiting for free money to come do something, these are the guys right here that are getting the money. The people that have already taken the initiative, the people already have shown that they've got the business interest, the people that have already put their money out front to get this thing started. I get a lot of calls, people saying, well, when this happens and that happens and I can get free money, I'm going to go save the world. No. The people that are going to get it are the people that take action now, that are out there like you, that are leading the forefront, that are going to go out there and do that. And that's not saying those people don't have a good heart. That's not saying that they don't, their heart's not in the right place. There's no reason to sit around. Go out and make it happen. If you really believe in God and you know that God can give you anything you want and you can manifest it and create it, make it happen. Go out there and put the intention out there. Go out there and start doing this because with all the calls that you get, I get, other people are getting, there's people all over the country that need access to this technology. And in some cases, it might be a little bit tough to get to where he's at right there. And, as we started off the call saying, we want people to go through 90, 120, 180 days, or even just make it part of your regular routine where, 3 or 4 times a month, you come in once a week just for a general overall detox, or the hyperbaric. Dr. Greg, our friend down in Orlando, he's got that thing in his living room. I mean, that guy's in the hyperbaric chamber every single day. So these are technologies that you can use to maintain good health, promote good health, enhance your health, and maintain good living. And Curtis, I'm going to get the information on the nutraceuticals or the vitamins and different things you offer, because I do want to start promoting those. And so I'll get that information and we can start incorporating that again. But before we sign off, is there anything you'd like to say to everybody?
I just want to say, the best part about this is that there's really no risk here. What's the worst thing that can happen? If you're on the fence about it, what do you have to lose? There's a reason why there's people starting to pop up left and right to promote this kind of technology. And it's not because it doesn't work, but again, you got to be consistent. There may not be one thing out there that does it all, but as long as you're open-minded and you're willing to try this out and, use it as a system, we have everything here at this point that you could possibly have to try and combat anything that you may have at this point. So it is a risk. I think that what we're doing right now is still somewhat of a risk, and we knew that ahead of time. But again, we're doing this for the benefit of humanity, and we don't claim to cure any disease or anything like that. We're just here to change your environment, alter your environment so that your body can adapt and heal itself.
That's right. Give the body what it needs to maintain good, healthy living, as we would call it, homeostasis. And the body's such a powerful tool. If we just give it some things that it can work with to kind of help it from time to time, there's just no limits to what the body can do as we learn more about it. So, Curtis, with that being said, thank you so much for your time today. It's great to see you. We'll be in touch. I'll get the video up here in the next day or two. And just stick with me here. I'll shut this down. I'll stay with you on the call for just a minute after.
All right. Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.